Sunset stood near the foot of the mountain, the clouds above her starting to form and funnel together, a thin sprinkle already falling. She blinked. She opened her eyes to fight against every instinct to scream as she found herself being dragged against the howling wind. She flailed her hooves, eager to land on something solid. Rain lashed against her face and stung her eyes, turning the world to a blur of colors until it was practically non-existent. She was standing at the aft end of a polished black wooden deck. Griffith stood on the opposite end, his back turned to her. Sunset took in all the deck with rapid speed, forcing herself to commit it to memory. As the Griffith turned around, Sunset teleported. Feeling the dirt beneath her hose again, Sunset opened her eyes and found Rarity staring at her with anxious wonder. Spike stood next to her, a coil of rope wrapped over his shoulder. "Did it work?" Rarity asked. Sunset nodded. "I saw the deck. I wouldn't have been there for more than 5 seconds. I think it's enough for a safe teleport back." She turned her attention to the mountain looming before them, two pairs of eyes following her, they all staring in anticipation. Wise instructions echoing in Sunset's head. Wait for the first flash of lightning, or whatever Vesper will use for a signal. "How do we know Vesper will even use a visible signal?" Spike asked, seemingly reading Sunset's thoughts. "Well, Twilight did say this plan requires some milk," Rarity said evenly. Sunset swallowed with the worries that climbed up her throat. "Hopefully Pinkie will have finished her part, so if we do get a light signal..." The words died in her throat when a red flare burst short from the cave mouth, curved up into the clouds. Sunset gestured her two friends to draw closer. "You ready?" "As we'll ever be," Rarity said with her eyes squeezed shut. Sunset focused on the snippets of the deck that she had seen, piecing together the mental image until she felt it was stable enough. She loosed her magic and felt the distortion of space take hold of her. Only less than a second before she landed on something solid. Vision returned to her just in time to see a large red tuft in front of her wave to rip to the floor. "Damn it, I spliced it!" Sunset muttered. She looked over at Rarity and Spike, both of whom seemed okay. Rarity looked at the fallen lock of hair and then to Sunset. "Oh dear, you didn't hurt yourself, did you?" "No, it was just the hair, I think." "Be thankful it wasn't your tail," Spike said barely, pointing to his bandages. "Oi! How did you get here?" From the steering wheel reached for her knives. The second Griffith stood next to her, drawing two daggers. Sunset and Rarity braced themselves. Loom flew in from the opposite end and landed on the lower deck. "It's just a signal. We gotta move," he called to Isa, the raising wind almost drowning his words out. Isa fell to the trio in front of him, and he drew his sword. "You little brats, this is our airship. Hold!" She had each Griffin in turn as much venom as possible. "You dare raise your weapons against your princess? I am the real Sunset Shimmer, and these two are my hostages." "Or are you as blind as you are stupid?" Loom paused, casting Sunset with an uneasy glance before looking up at Eliza. Eliza narrowed her eyes, knives still raised. Only the wind made any noise, moaning against the ship's black balloon, tethered over everyone's heads. "Nice try," Eliza said finally. "Got them?" She snatched at the Griffin on her side. "Weigh anchor. We got to target today's. Loom," she sneered at Sunset. "Help me take out the tross." "Aye!" Loom jabbed his sword at Rarity, who twirled out of his reach. Spike shoved in front of her and unleashed a small emerald blaze, enough to keep Loom from advancing any further. Sunset focused her attention on Eliza. She caught the three airborne knives and sent them back with full force. Eliza ducked under them, tightly tucking her wings in. Porter pounced from the upper deck, swiping her other set of knives as Sunset came down. Sunset slid to the side, the deck having become slick from the battering rain. Eliza swiped her claws again as she landed, missing Sunset by a hair's breadth. The entire ship shook, rocking like a leaf in the autumn wind. Eliza slid all the way to the railing and held on for dear life. "What's happening?" Loom pressed herself against the deck, a few meters from where Rarity and Spike were huddled. "It's the wind! We're likely calling a rainbow or a hurricane or something." "Nice job, Rainbow," Sunset thought. She fought against the wind gale, laying her horn and making 3 spells. The first one hit herself, while the other 2 were aimed at Rarity and Spike. She gave them a curt nod, was returned and stood up. They were movements, looked slow and uneven, like they were wading through honey. Sunset crossed the deck to meet them, her hose more accustomed to her sticky charm. Before they could make it across, a wet mass of gray and white feathers flopped out of the stormy black sea onto the deck. All eyes fell on him as he clambered to his peak. There's something out there! Gavin said. Beak chattering, though Sunset couldn't tell if it was from fear or cold. He was, however, sporting a black eye and had been there when he had left. What do you mean, out there? Eliza asked, regaining her balance. She didn't have to wait long for an answer. A rainbow blur swept across the deck. In the next second, Eliza advanced. What the toilets is that? Loom asked.
Was that what? That was a cool ceiling.
Pinko reached over to Rayleigh and pulled himself on the deck. Pinky was sopping wet, her mane lying straight across her head, and miraculously poofed out again when she stepped under the shadow of the balloon.
Sunset, your sticky spell was so cool. I got to walk around on the bottom of the ship, and everything was upside down. My head feels funny though.
Loom roared with anger and lunged at Pinky. Rarity yanked him off course by grabbing his sword and her magic. He slid across the deck and slammed into Gavin, sending both Griffins onto the floor.
Pinky,
Rarity asked slowly,
did you do what we told you to do? Of course I did, Pinky nodded. I don't think I ever chewed someone's gum in my life.
Good job, Pinky, Sunset said. Now go down with Spike and help him finish the mission. Ready? Take the wheel.
Just to be clear, I've never piloted an airship before,
Rarity said with a tinge of annoyance. Doesn't matter. Just try to take us away from Huffington. Sunset put a force field around Loom and Gavin. Watching him struggle and pound against it, trying to break free. Now here comes the part where we pray we don't get blown up, Sunset thought grimly. The interior of the ship was made from a lighter wood than the black deck. The first room Spike and Pinky found themselves was in a small square room with a door that must have led to the captain's quarters, judging by the decorative feathers around it. A staircase that led deeper into the bowels of the ship. Spike held a claw to his lips and pointed to Pinky, who sipped her mouth shut, locked it, and put the imaginary key in her mane. Spike rolled his eyes and led the way down the stairs. Sunset's Sicky's charm helping him maintain his balance against the ship's fretful rocking. The stairs curved and led down to a narrow hallway with doors lining each side. At the end of the hall were two more Griffins. Just behind them, a ladder that no doubt led to the cargo hold. Oh, what's going on up there? We're not under attack, are we? The bigger Griffin asked. Something like that, Spike said, sizing up how much corridor space they were taking up. One of them turned and looked at Spike and Pinky when like they were ghosts. How'd they get in? Oh, no, then, the smaller one said. Well, I know how they're getting out. He pulled a hunting spear from his back and lunged at him as the ship lurched to the side. He slammed to the wall while Pinky and Spike moved with the motion of the boat. Finn held a talon to his temple. Let's go see what's going on inside. I'll handle these two. Flick gave a disgruntled look to Finn before following orders. He looked over Pinky and Spike's heads, though he did try to take a fisted swipe at him. Pinky ducked and aimed a little kick at his chest, which he narrowly avoided. With one last skeezy look, he hurried up the stairs. So, a dragon or a pony walk into a Griffin airship? Can't wait to get down to Shoguns.
Oh, nunchucks! Pinky exclaimed. She gave Spike a sheepish look. Sorry, this is supposed to talk, was I?
Spike shrugged. Well, they know we're in here now, so...
Pinky nodded. Right. So anyways, knock knock.
Finn gave a puzzled look. Cold blades at all, have you?
You're supposed to say who's there.
Pinky said with exasperation. Finn just charged forward, running his swords against each other. Pinky reached her remain.
Okay then, straight to the punchline. Sup-bomb!
She pulled out a white ball, threw it against the floor, filling the hall with a thick cloud vapor. Spike seized his hands and scaled up the wall and onto the ceiling, running right over Finn's head. He came to the other side of the corridor and dropped down a ladder, descending out of the smoke. His Italian eyes pierced the darkness and carried at least 100 barrels of explosives, each one taller than him. He took up the entire room, skulls and crossbones pointed across each barrel. Taking a step forward, Spike felt a groove on the floor, knelt down to see the outline of the compartment door. He turned his shoulder towards the wall where a lever rested. I hope Pinky did her job right. Took a coil of rope from around his shoulder and shuddered. Now, I just have to do mine. He started unraveling the rope, leaving one end near the base of the ladder while he navigated his way in and out of the barrels. You can do this, Spike. Everyone's counting on you. His voice started to tremble. If you mess this up, we're going to go boom. He kept the rope as far from the barrels as he could. Extremely difficult feat when they were packed so close together. When it was near the end of his rope, he draped the remains over the closest barrel and tucked the end into a tiny opening in the wood. He retraced his steps back to the front of the room, straightening out the rope as he traveled. He picked up the other end and placed his claw on the bottom rung of the ladder. Here goes everything. He hissed out a tiny ember, just enough to see the rope of flame. Got to the ground and watched the flame travel to makeshift fuse, hissing like a snake. Time to go! He scrambled up the ladder, back into the hallway, where the smoke had cleared. Peeking and Finn were nowhere to be found. Without hesitation, Spike ran up the stairs and burst onto the main deck, where cacophony of events were going on. Loom and Gavin had escaped from Sunset's shield and were both fighting her in the middle of the deck. Finn was trying to get rid of Pinky, bouncing on the guardrail like an acrobat. Flynn was battling Rarity for control of the ship. Spike waved his arms and yelled, voice lost in the din. However, and his friends were too caught up in their battles to notice him. He knew his fire would all be useless against the pouring rain. They left him with only one option, something stupid. Rusting up the stairs to the higher deck, he brutally observed Rarity holding Flint off of a crew iron bar as he was stripped from the rigging. At the opportune moment, Spike charged and jumped with all his might, throwing his arms around Flint's neck.
What the? Get off! Spike, what are you doing?
Rarity cried.
The bombs are going off soon! We need to leave now!
Spike yelled. No sooner had the words left his mouth than Flint grabbed Spike and flung him out the edge of the ship. You just hear Rarity call his name over the roar of thunder, wind rushing to his ears. He tumbled and swirled into the stormy dark abyss. Above him or below him, he couldn't already tell. The black airship already grew smaller and smaller. He fanned his arms with a futile hope till he would learn how to fly within the next few seconds. He soon gave up and turned his back to the world below, eyes resting on the floating behemoth, his large wings still propelling it forward. Watched his underbelly glow redder than hot coals before the entire thing was consumed, like it had been sucked into a raging inferno that was its stomach. But taking a second there, and intact, and only a blazing cloud of fire and smoke emerged within the storm. Spike brought his claws to his eyes, blocking out the image and, subsequently, the dark thoughts that came with the exploding airship. They can't be gone. They just can't be. Then, instead of falling, Spike felt himself flying toward at breakneck speed. The world rushed past him in a dull blur, the wind forced the water from his eyes. Before he knew it, he was sitting in the mountainside in front of the cave, albeit completely dazed.
Spike?
Twilight had been watching the sky with Applejack when Spike appeared, seemingly out of nowhere. Twilight caught a glimpse of the multichromatic trail left behind.
Spike?
Spike shook his head, looked up. Whoa, that was fast! Twilight gave him a gentle hug and asked, Where are the others? Why aren't you with them? Spike's eyes widened. You mean they aren't with you? A moment of silence passed between all three of them as they exchanged grim looks. You're fine, just a temporary setback, Twilight told herself. Off to the side, debris from burning wreckage fell out of the sky. Nothing but wood scraps and pieces of balloon were left. Twilight's heart jumped to her throat.
No, it can't be.
There's a small pop not too far away.
Ow! Damn it! Still done with teleport today!
Twilight runs over to the spot, followed closely by Applejack and Spike. In a small clearing, Sunset, Rarity, and Pinky sat. All three were little Sids, and Sunset was nursing one of her front hooves. They were all alive. Applejack let out a holler of delight.
Y'all made it!
You nearly gave us our takes. Sunset lowered her hoof, tentatively roll it. Yeah, we got out. Quite literally at the last possible second. I missed the first time and had us almost 50 feet from the ground. So I had to teleport us again and nearly twisted my foot on re-entry. Rarity spotted Spike and let out a squeal. She rushed over to him and took him in a strangling embrace.
Is Spike okay? I'm still worried when that horrible Griffin threw you overboard. What?
Twilight yelled.
Don't worry, Twilight,
Spike managed to gasp. Rarity practically choking him. Rainbow safety before anything bad happens. What's your mouths, Mike? Where are Rainbow and Shy? Applejack asked.
I'm right here,
a small voice answered. Fluttershy, true to her name, fluttered down from the sky, landing with her back legs first before gingerly touching down with her injured front ones.
So, do we win?
I think so. Applejack clapped Fluttershy in the back, kneeling on her forward. You and Dias made one heck of a storm up there. Hey, even without Planky giving up their cargo hats, they probably would never made it out of town. Well, better safe than sorry, Twilight said. Speaking of Griffins, did they... I mean, it wasn't just our lives in danger. I hope...
He sent one down to the cargo hold, but I guess he might come work because he came back screaming and the all flew off,
he said. Twilight let out a tight breath. Good. Maybe we scared him off for good this time. Where's Rainbow? Let's get on the train and take a nap as soon as possible. Here, Sunset cheered. Much like Fireside, Rainbow descended from the sky with slow, even flaps of her wings. Her smile, if possible, was no even cockier than usual. Like she had just won the title Supreme Ruler of the Universe. My eyes flickered to the dark crown on top of Rainbow's head. Wondered if that was a serious thought rising in Rainbow's mind. Her fears were confirmed when Rainbow spoke.
Pathetic land ponies! Behold what the legendary Rainbow Dash do! From now on, you will call me the Queen of Stars! I am now the fastest Pegasus, not just in Equestria, but the world!
She threw herself a capital away to remind Twilight as a toll.
Oh no!
First I see was squeak.
She couldn't control it after all! Twilight, no, me too,
Pinky whimpered.
You all bow before me! That's what you all do!
Rainbow committed.
Daniel!
She gave out a start.
Daniel! Tracy can't help but notice that your evil rainbow voice was
Starscream?
Yes. And this scares her.
Rainbow gripped her sides and burst into gales of laughter.
You guys should see your faces.
She fell to the ground, rolling on her back. Rainbow, that wasn't funny. Applejack gave her kick to her side.
Ow, come on, AJ. It was too good to pass up.
She stopped laughing at the look Applejack gave her a stride.
You'll laugh about it someday.
Twilight walked up to her. So, the Tempest Crown didn't influence you in any way? Rainbow pulled it off and handed it to Twilight.
Well, it was whispering to me how I could be the greatest flyer ever and millions of ponies would chant my name. But, I mean, come on. We all know that's gonna happen someday anyway. I don't need a crown to tell me I'm awesome. I already know that.
Sunset blinked. So, her giant ego stopped her from becoming an egomaniac. Sure, I'll pay it. Twilight secured the ground inside her saddlebag, trading it for Applejack's hat, which she took back with relish. Well then, this is accomplished. And as an added bonus, she gestured for the others to follow her, laying in the mouth of the cave with Razor and Vesper, still chained and unconscious. Can I hear her? Just once. Sunset begged. No, Twilight said defiantly.
Oh, come on, Twilight. Think about all the stuff she did to us.
Rainbow said, edging closer to Vesper. Twilight yanked her back. 2 wrongs don't make it right. Not gonna let you stoop to her level. We're gonna contact Princess Celestia so we can lock her up. Fine! Sunset and Rainbow slouched their shoulders. Twilight looked at Vesper and Razor Stasis field down the mountain. She couldn't help but smile a little. Vesper looked up. Maybe these wouldn't have to go looking for these city hoof guards. Meaning finally get an explanation was why there are 2 sunsets. Incoming! Pinky screeched. Twilight threw herself forward, losing her grip on the prisoners in order to avoid the massive fireball. She rolled her on her back, looking up at several griffins swooping down towards them, half of them with fire in their claws. Summoning fire of her own, Twilight tried to hold them off, but he seemed less interested in her and her friends, more interested in sleeping figures lying just a few feet away. Twilight tried to erect a barrier, but a blast of fire knocked her further back into a wild shrub. Lemon Finn swooped down, grabbed Razor, with Vesper hanging on more like an afterthought. Rainbow flew after them, with Sunset providing magical support, and Eliza kept both of them at bay, with wild barrage of fire. Twilight struggled out of the shrub, with some set blades with much of the mountainside. She spotted the fleeing mercenaries, already shrinking as they headed over the mountain, cast one more spell to try to catch them. An expansive purple net appeared over her head and flew after them, quickly closing the distance. Eliza turned over midair and threw more fire at it. The net fizzled, but remained firmly on her trails. Faster! Eliza yelled. Twilight grit her teeth, determined to catch Vesper if anyone. It was almost around her prey, closing in inch by inch. With a loud yell, Twilight jumped forward and lost her concentration. So it's so hot, it almost felt cold like Twilight's back leg. Behind her, the flames of the shrub had spread and crawling their way across the soil. Twilight put it out with a quick gust of wind, like back at the mountain peak. Vesper and the griffins were gone. Sunset finished extinguishing another fire inside. He almost had her. Rarity dumped another pile on her.
Well, considering the day we had, we should still be grateful if things turned out this well.
True. Well, I'd really like to see Vesper in prison.
Any bets that the Griffins will finish her off for us?
Rainbow said half-helpingly. Sunset stirred to the sounds of teens rowling. Her head felt heavy, as if weighed down by her dreams. Only once he was fully awake did he realize there was a nest of chains encircling her horn. She was dangling over the open sky, suspended by her shared imprisonment with an unconscious razor. She was being carried by 2 more members of the Deathwing. Both of sides were the rest of the team, flying with grim expressions. Since they could only guess where their ship was, they failed me again. Why, I'm not surprised. What have an ally myself was like to them anyway? All they did was buy me some time and press as little as that. Since it released a soft growl, friends are useless, servants are pointless. Truly, I can only rely on myself. She raised her eyes to her tuned horn, then to her now former lackeys. None of them noticed her return to consciousness. She raised her hose to her horn, carefully feeling around for where the chain began. The rowling crashed against her ears like a tsunami, but against the wind, it seems like the Griffins heard nothing. Still, she was careful about her progress. She was no fool. She knew they would no longer want to be in service to her. The road only had 3 endings. One where they tried to flee, excusable, to kill her off, laughable, then to her own ending. No doubt the only reason why he hadn't reached the end of the road yet is because he'd still chained to her captain. Into one of the links, and slowly brought it down under another. You could feel it unraveling. The pressure began to lift away. Get them before they get you. That's how life works, Sunset grinned viciously. Oh, she was going to get Twilight Sparkle all right. She and all of her precious friends. The replica would die first. Slow and painful. That was a promise. The chain began to unravel, clanking and moaning while an uncurrent from Sunset's horn surge of magic crushed through her. A smile starting to display her face. What are you doing? Sunset looked at Razor's scarred face, suspicion and wonder with a hint of fear marring as much as the physical wounds. Horn bubbled with darkness, and black mist clung to her eyes. Fire, she said with manic glee.